Hey friends, I've been doing this mini series on kids and snacks, and today I'm answering one of the most frequently asked questions that I get, and that is, why is my kid asking for a snack right after we just finished a meal? This can be so frustrating for any parent or family. Like, you just put all this effort and work into preparing and creating this meal for your family, and your child may have not shown very much interest in eating it, but then as soon as the meal is done, your child might be coming back and asking for a snack, or soon after the meal is done. So I want to give you a couple insights and reasons as to why this may be happening, and as well as a couple ways to help you through this if this is coming up for you and your child. So one reason that this could be happening is that mealtimes may feel stressful for your child. And I'm not saying that you're doing anything intentional to make it that way. Sometimes kids can just feel pressured to eat certain foods, or they feel like the expectation that their caregivers may have to eat certain portions or quantities, or again, like try certain things that might be at the table. And mealtimes, again, can feel a little bit more formal compared to snacking. So it can be harder. It can be harder for your child to sit there for various reasons. And again, it's not anything that you're doing. Sometimes just the way that meals are set up can create more stress and pressure on a child. This is especially true if your child has ever experienced, again, pressure to eat certain things or certain amounts from their plate. So sometimes we can inadvertently create pressure when we're asking our child, like, oh, can you try a bite of this? You might like it. Or why don't you take one more bite of this? It's good for your body, or whatever we're saying out of really good intentions. We just want the best for our kids. Sometimes the way that we approach food at mealtimes, or the way the mealtime is structured, can feel like pressure to kids. Even the act of having certain foods on their plate already for them can sometimes feel like pressure, because they're coming and sitting at the table and seeing, a plate of food that they may not necessarily want to eat or feel comfortable eating. And so it can start to creep up their anxiety in their body a little bit. What happens when kids feel anxious, especially at mealtimes, is that it can shut down their appetite, right? Like, think about times that you maybe felt stressed or anxious. Sometimes that can make it harder for us to tune into what our bodies are needing and wanting when our body's stress responses are being activated in our bodies. So this is common for a lot of kids, where they may be feeling stress at the table. Sometimes it can just be a conversation that's happening at the table. Sometimes mealtimes are the only time that we have to reconnect as a family, and maybe we bring up conversations that are a little bit tense. Our child's feeling a little bit anxious. So when a child is walking away from that meal, it can help decrease their stress response in their body, so they might reconnect with their hunger again soon after the meal is over. Again, this is just a potential reason why some kids do ask for snacks soon after the meal is done. It's like they came away from a situation that may have brought up some anxiety or stress in their body, and again, making it harder for them to register their hunger cues. But when they are removed from that situation and the meal's over, and they're now going and playing and doing things that help bring down and decrease their stress levels in their body, they're going to reconnect with that hunger again. They're going to realize, oh, I didn't eat anything at the table and now I'm hungry. So they're asking for a snack. So that can be a potential reason why. A second reason, another common reason, is if a child doesn't have a safe or accepted food that's included in the mealtime, they may be asking for a snack afterwards, just as a way of asking for a food that they feel comfortable with. So, for many kids, snack foods are very reliable and predictable in terms of flavor and texture, and that can be a reason why they tend to gravitate toward them. And we want to include safe and accepted foods as part of the mealtime in order to help our child be able to identify something that they are comfortable with, which is going to help them feel safe. This is not to say that you need to cater to everything that your child is wanting and only have accepted or safe foods at the meal. We definitely want to include both accepted foods and things that might be a little more challenging for them and that they're learning how to eat, because that exposure is going to help support them through the learning process. But if there was no accepted foods at the table and they only are coming to the table seeing things that are really challenging for them, that might make it harder for them to want to eat. And so they may not eat at the meal, but when the meal is over, they may be asking for a snack because they're looking for a food that feels safe and comfortable for them. So those are two of the big reasons that I see. Of course, there can be a lot of other different things going on. I know this can be a really nuanced topic, but those are some things to examine if this is a repeated behavior happening with your child. You know, like if they're constantly leaving the table and then asking for a snack soon after, we want to make sure, number one, are we keeping mealtime safe for them by not pressuring them or asking them to eat certain amounts, right? Like, it goes back to this mantra of parents provide the food and the child decides what they want to eat from the food that's been provided. Another suggestion here to help keep mealtime safe and comfortable for your kids is considering offering meals family style. So that means you're putting food on the table and allowing your child to self-serve what they want from the food that's been offered. For kids, especially children that may have more sensory sensitivities or maybe more selective with food, even like I said, the act of having food pre-plated for them can create pressure and tension and stress in their body because they already feel like, oh, this is on my plate, I have to eat it. So you can avoid that by giving them an empty plate and letting them self-serve, and of course helping them as needed depending on your child's age. And then the second thing here is just being sure that you intentionally incorporate a safe food or accepted food for your child. So this doesn't mean that the whole meal needs to be centered around what your child will eat, but just making sure that you include at least 1 to 2 food components as part of that meal that you know that they feel safe with. That's going to help them come to the table feeling, again, more at ease and identifying something that they know they can eat and that hopefully they will eat, so that they are feeling content and satisfied and not asking for a snack right after too. So I hope this helps. I do have a blog post that I'll link in the comments for you. And as always, feel free to ask any questions. I'd love to help support you wherever you're at. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.